Greetings, fellow humans. Wayne the Crimson Eye here, and I'm going to start this video by telling a little story. Enter the shoes of Wayne at 18 years old. For the first time in his life, he had a job. He got his first real paycheck. His return to PC was just beginning, and the first thing he did with his paycheck was buy 3 games on Steam. One was a fantastic love letter to Metroid called Environmental Station Alpha. The other 2 were both of the games in the famous Portal series. It was love at first sight. Wonderful puzzles, a quirky sense of humor.
Great work. Because this message is pre-recorded, any observations related to your performance are speculation on our part. Please disregard any undeserved compliments.
A fascinating story that can only be truly told in the form of a video game. It is a part of PC gaming that no gamer should ever miss out on, the way I see it. When I beat them, I sat there amazed and said, wow, what's next? And then I found out that this is Valve, so there likely won't be anything next. So naturally, I searched everywhere, trying to fill that void. On this quest, I stumbled upon a game called Antechamber, a game that filled hours of downtime at work. Instant classic as far as I'm concerned. Like a Metroid meets Portal. A mix as good as peanut butter and chocolate, not to mention it's extremely mind-bending. But I'm getting a bit off topic here. I have continued this quest by playing 2 first-person puzzlers. On my Switch, I picked up a game called ChromaGun. It had apparently released 2 years ago on Steam and a year prior to that on mobile devices. On my PC, I picked up a game that more recently came out called Q.U.B.E. Originally, I was just going to do a review for ChromaGun and that be that. I had a script written for it and everything. But then I played Q.U.B.E, and that script was promptly tossed in the trash can. A light bulb sparked in my head, and I had an idea. These games were both clearly inspired by the genius of Portal. Instead of doing a by-the-numbers review of ChromaGun, I think it's more fitting to pit these 2 against each other and see who recaptures the magic better. So, ladies and gents, without further ado... It's difficult to know where to begin with certain games, but I think it'd be more appropriate to address the very thing that inspires these things. Portal. Q.U.B.E. 2 is a game that undoubtedly wears its Portal inspiration on its sleeve, but stands pretty damn well on its own. Your character starts with no memory of how she ended up in this planet of sorts. You encounter quite a few oddities throughout the adventure and wonder what in the world is going on. It's actually quite fascinating when you get further into it.
One. She said we would become one. Don't leave me on my own. Not without her.
The core mechanic involves using these tiles on the floors and walls and imbuing them with one of 3 properties, spawning a green block, growing a pillar, and propelling anything, including yourself, to another platform. ChromaGun takes so much from Portal that it borders on being a ripoff. It wears its Portal inspiration like cheap cosplay. The game's synopsis is almost an exact carbon copy of Portal's plot. You're a random nobody given a little money to do some experiments for a seemingly friendly corporation that just might go bankrupt. At one point, Cave Johnson tries to kill you to cover up Chromatech's mistakes. He also spouts exposition that imitates Portal to a very painful degree. I seriously rolled my eyes every time he opened his mouth.
You stayed calm, and by utilizing coherent reasoning, assess the situation to find a viable solution. Congratulations are in order. Congratulations.
What Q.U.B.E. 2 does with its core mechanics is already deep enough as it is, but it takes it further by introducing new mechanics as you get into new areas. Some of which happily reminded me of Breath of the Wild's Divine Beast dungeons. I often thought to myself, how awesome would this be in a Zelda game? It built this sense of anticipation for each area that paid off handsomely throughout this game's 5-hour adventure. It also helps that the game lets you choose your levels at your own pace. It's like the Mega Man of first-person puzzle games. There was one puzzle that I was completely stumped on, so I decided to move to another room to give myself some time to think about it. I was able to come back to this room with a clean slate while playing the game, and when I solved it, I felt like a freaking genius. ChromaGun is a pretty simple game, and like I said, this game mimics Portal so much it's almost painful. You have a gun that does sciencey stuff. The level structure itself is fairly linear with a set series of levels in one sequence. The main thrust of the game involves painting walls certain colors so as to magnetize worker droids and get them to land on switches. Really, it all boils down to getting a worker droid to go a certain place for you. That is seriously it. You do this for 8 chapters over the course of 2 hours, and that's it. Yet somehow the game feels even longer than that. The rooms feel like they drag on for ages, and you feel every second of them. The few puzzles in ChromaGun that were a good challenge ended up frustrating me. I kept banging my head up against a wall.
We're throwing science at the wall here to see what sticks.
If I fucked up one step, I had to start over the whole thing, adding more unnecessary time to what is otherwise a short experience. Also, if you combine every color, it permanently makes a color brown, which can be necessary for certain puzzles, and you have no means to cleanse the walls if you screw up. You can argue that you can restart already knowing what to do up to that point, but it doesn't make the level any less of a slog. It's shameless padding and it sucks. Failing in Q.U.B.E, on the other hand, was almost a reward. It was like a learning experience. You learn what didn't work and why it didn't work, and then you try something else. If you screw up, you now know why it doesn't work and move on from there. You don't have to start over. It made finally solving a puzzle that was previously kicking my ass feel all the more satisfying. This game understands that newcomers are going to naturally make mistakes the first go around. You feel a genuine sense of progression in Q.U.B.E, as well as the new mechanics. Each area has a distinct theme, all of them strange and otherworldly. It's a sight to behold. It doesn't hurt that these areas are also bolstered by some of the richest lighting that the Unreal Engine has ever treated me to. It builds up extremely well and feels appropriately paced. It does what it sets out to do and doesn't overstay its welcome. ChromaGun's gameplay is certainly unique, and they do squeeze a few decent puzzles out of it. Despite that, however, I cannot deny that it got old pretty quickly. They certainly try to vary things up, but nothing ever really has a sense of evolution. A problem likely stemming from the fact that everything looks the same. I got so bored of looking at the same white walls and floor. Even the few splashes of colors this game had was not enough. Q.U.B.E stands as one of my favorite games of 2018 and a game I want other puzzle games to take inspiration from. I also really want this game to have a level editor and community maps. It feels practically built for this kind of stuff. ChromaGun, on the other hand, has a lot of room for improvement. And I mean a lot. Its core idea is creative, but it doesn't stop this game from ultimately being an underdeveloped disappointment of a game. It is not bad by any means, but my god was a letdown. You had such a great idea and just squandered it. And before you get on my case about how ChromaGun and Q.U.B.E stand on 2 different planes, remember that ChromaGun is still charging $20 on Switch, the same price I got for Q.U.B.E on GOG. I don't care if it's ChromaGun on the go, the price should have been slashed in half, especially considering other games that cost the same amount on Switch. So I gave ChromaGun a really hard time. At the end of writing this, I decided that instead of just giving Q.U.B.E the victory and leaving it at that, I want to leave the developers with a few tips. A few things to improve with the sequel should it ever come. First things first, we all get it. You love Portal, but you're out of your league here. You're not good at witty quips, so you might want to try another means of storytelling altogether. Furthermore, this game is held back severely by its repetitive design. Combining colors needs to mean a lot more than simply magnetizing worker droids. I would recommend taking a page from Q.U.B.E.'s book and make the colors have other functions besides merely color matching. I also think that perhaps adding in platforming elements can really help if a sequel ever comes. You have a great idea, build upon it. It has the potential of becoming something great. Thank you all so much for watching this video, a first of what may become a series in and of itself. If you like this video, please stay tuned. There's more where that came from. This is Wayne the Crimson Eye, signing off.